Hello, everyone. We're really excited that now our paper or article, Routines Die Hard, Ontological Security and Audience Agency and Securitization, is finally published at the Review of International Studies. I'm Minseon Koo.
And Brian Finch. And Minson, can you kind of give us an overview of the research question of the article?
Yeah, so we're basically trying to better understand the relationship between audience as conceptualized in the Copenhagen School of Securitization and securitizing moves that could potentially be anxiety inducing for the audience of securitization because technically, securitization involves designating something as an existential threat. So based on the existing conceptions of audience agency and securitization, the audience, technically possess this political agency or the political capability to accept, reject, or contest securitizing moves. But given that these moves are potentially anxiety inducing, we think that there is a more complicated or psychological process that's ongoing. So we come up with this new concept, which we call ontological agency, and we draw on Anthony Giddens' conceptualization of ontological security, or the secure sense of one's being. That centers the importance of routinized practices in really making one feel anchored or making one feel as though that their ontological security is being reinforced. Now, by actually emphasizing the importance of everyday routines, such as simple things like how you commute to work or school, where you go and who you meet and what you do, those practices that really anchor your sense of who you are and where you are in this world. We basically think that the audience possesses an agency that allows them to really choose to, choosing what to pay attention to and choosing what to ignore. So how does this then relate to securitization? We're basically saying that ontological agency helps us to understand that political agency is a lot more narrow in terms of really helping us understand how the audience react to vis-a-vis securitizing moves. So in other words, we also think that the audience may choose not to react at all or not act at all, or even choosing blatantly to basically ignore securitizing moves if they think that those moves are potentially disruptive to their sense of ontological security. In other words, ontological agency is a way of saying that the audience is always trying to cope with securitizing moves and practices. Now, this also means that the when the audience chooses to actually react to or act vis-a-vis a securitizing move, they are doing so because they think that those securitizing moves and practices are disruptive to their sense of being and the continuity of the world that they live in. Now, what does this tell us about securitization is that we cannot purely determine the success or failure of securitization based on audience agency or audience action or reaction, or whether they are accepting or rejecting or contesting securitizing moves, because sometimes when people react to securitization, they basically also are reproducing the narratives, discourses, and rhetoric used by securitizing actors because of this sense of uncertainty, and they're trying to break it out, their sources of anxiety. So how then do we go about showing this ontological agency in our article? Brian,
Yeah,
on
so
to
we look
you.
at the case. We look at the case of the South Korean state securitization of North Korea under the Kim regime, and how we do that is we carried out unstructured observations of people's inaction or reaction to securitizing moves, both in person and online, over the course of two examples of securitizing moves in the case of missile launches in 2022. So, in the first case example of securitizing moves that we observed, this took place in May 2022. This was a missile launches that took place in the city of Gangneung in South Korea. I'm going to play a quick video here. You can actually see the missile launches that were carried out in the middle of the day in Gangneung. You can see the missiles mentioned there. You can't hear the audio, but we have a full video with audio supplemental materials for the article. But in this case, what we observed among the public around us was a distinct lack of reaction or inaction. People went about their daily routines, shopping, going to cafes, meeting with friends, and seemingly paid very little attention to these highly visible missile tests that were taking place. By contrast, what we observed in October, this was an example of there's a large explosion at the airbase in Gangneung, so the same location as the May missile tests. but we observed in real time the public's reaction to this very large explosion and ensuing fire that took place, and that was later determined to be a failed missile launch. And so the reaction online was, that we observed was people expressing concern about North Korea, the possibility of an attack by North Korea, or that war had broken out. Basically, people drawing upon the narratives of securitization in reaction to this explosion and the uncertainty around it. So basically, people were, concerned and seemed to react in a very strong way regarding North Korea as a potential physical threat. And so we hope you kind of are interested and read the paper and kind of to dig more into our argument and our empirics of the case as well. Thank you.